Today we are going back to school. We're at the School of Code. You can probably hear a lot of students in the background. They are studying and they've very kindly given us an area inside their main classroom, which actually, Sunny, I would have loved to have gone to a school like this. Look at the funky paintings on the wall.
That was
the
a student.
Artwork. A student did that.
Yeah, it was a student who was an artist
Absolutely
who came in and
amazing.
did it for free for them.
Absolutely amazing. During the show, we're going to hear how School of Code is helping to get people become computer programmers. We're going to hear from some of the previous alumni. In fact, they've gone on now onto amazing careers within technology as well.
And not only that, we're going to find out what other companies are located here in the building, and hopefully they'll come down and speak to us. I think we've got someone who spent 20 years of his life studying volcanoes. They call a volcanologist. What a brilliant title to have on your card.
Love
I'm
that.
a volcanologist.
Yeah, I would probably do that just to have the job title, actually.
There you go.
That is a very cool
so we're going to
title.
speak to someone who's spent his life trying to get to the center of the earth.
Exactly. So
What
all
comes
of that,
out of it.
all of that and more. If you would like to tell us about your part, maybe you come down to Digbeth and you love Digbeth, then 81333, start the message with WM. Maybe there's particular parts that you love to come to. Could well be here within the custard factory. Why do you love it so much? It's really buzzing today, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have to share this on air because all of the students saw me, so I pretty much was stuffing my face. For lunch today, I enjoyed the best bean chili I think I've ever had.
Nice.
So good.
Located here.
Yeah.
Around the
The
pond.
business is called The Canteen. That's where I got it from. They've got so many local run businesses here in the custard factory. I think that's really fantastic about it, actually.
I think so. Then we should talk to someone who's invited us down here today.
I know. So we actually met him in our studio, and then we said, well, you know, it sounds like you're doing fantastic work, so we would like to come down and see exactly what you're doing. We're joined by Dr. Chris Meir. He actually runs at School of Code. Chris, thanks for letting us rock up.
Thanks for taking up the invitation.
So last time you were at our workplace, now we're at your workplace. How are you on best behaviour? How does this feel for you having us
Everyone's
here?
on best behaviour. We've cleaned, we've mopped. It never usually looks like this, but it's tidy today. Yeah.
It looks lovely. It's
Thanks
a
very
beautiful
much.
building, isn't it? Is this like, can you just, I mean, because for all of our listeners, they'll know the custard factory, of course, it's a factory, it's a really high ceilings. It's very industrial, isn't it?
Well, it's exactly where they used to make birds custard all those years ago.
Wow.
Hasn't been used for that purpose for a long time, so now it's office space, but you still have that industrial feel. So you've got like the bare brickwork, the old windows, and you know we've, like, as you said, got graffiti painted on the murals, and you know that's the good thing about having a boot camp with loads of different people. You've always got skills, and they're happy to do it for free. So that's always a good thing.
I love that.
You know, since you've been here, I mean, how has the environment helped within the morale? I mean, like you could go to the new buildings, which are functional, utterly functional, and you'll get all the Wi-Fi signal no matter where you are in the room.
Yeah.
But it's something about this space that for some reason makes you want to get your head down and yet feel like you're not closed in.
Yeah, I guess it's the soul of the place, isn't it? Really. So you know, if you've got a brand new, you know, scientific building and you know, brand new office space, sometimes it's missing that soul.
Yeah.
It feels a bit clinical. You know, whereas here you can't get away. I mean, in Digbeth you can't get away from the rawness of the place. You know, and that's for good and bad. But you know, it's really, you know, there's a great community here, and they're really building that entrepreneurial spirit. Like there's a lot of local businesses that we're going to hopefully speak to today.
Yeah.
And you really feel that revival of Birmingham happening right here in Digbeth.
And what is this about this space that I guess you wanted to be here, or was this just one of the options?
Yeah, one of many options in Birmingham, and that's the great thing. You know, the place is building and growing, but the custard factory in particular wanted to support us.
Okay.
And we want to be, you know, in a cool space. We're bringing loads of different types of people together. We're bringing people that have never been in tech and getting them into technology. And so you want to be in a place that fuses different, you know, arenas. And here you've got like art. You can't walk 2 seconds out without seeing graffiti on the walls. You know, really cool music scene, really cool food. You know, everything's going on here, and it's a really cool space for us to try and blend in our boot campers into the tech world as well.
So how, for anyone, because of course we're going to meet with some of the alumni a little bit later on, we'll find out how their lives have changed, but for anyone who isn't aware of School of Code, how did it all begin for you? Because you started School of Code whilst you were studying your own PhD in computer science, didn't you?
Yeah.
So why on earth would you think, I've got a PhD, but you know what, I'm gonna set up a school as well? You know, how did that all kind of begin for you?
I asked myself that a lot. Well, so for me, I saw artificial intelligence. I think I'd applied for maths and business or English lit or something like that. Saw artificial intelligence and thought, like, definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, saw iRobot and loved Will Smith, and I was like,
Yeah.
I want to be Will Smith. So walked into that, and the first day I was there's 100 people, but you know, I think 3 girls, no diversity. Everyone had the same story and could already code.
Okay.
And that's great. So universities have got a route for a certain type of person, the type of person that learns since they're 6 years old. They take apart computers and all of that sort of stuff. But most people haven't got a route into tech right now. Right. And with automation, a change in job landscape, we're going to need to try and get more and different types of people in, because tech is the future. It's not just the tech industry, it's all industry. And so for me it was just really important, okay, well, nobody's trying to do that. They're trying to find more of those same bedroom coders. And we found them all. You know, they're getting paid a lot of money to do really hard stuff. So actually, morally, we want to get more people in. But also, it's good for business. You know, the diversity of different backgrounds, different ideas, different ways of life. You want to bring those into tech, because that's how you create real change. Technology scales across the world overnight. And so the only way to create real change now is through technology, and we're giving people the power to do that.
So can I just read some of the list? I love this list you've given us today of, we can hear them in the background as they're working away, of your boot campers' background. So this really does show the diverse range and background that people have, and they're now learning computer coding, which is just amazing. So you've got Tao, who was unemployed. He's got a background as a family support worker. Sam was a barber, loved the creativity, but actually wanted a challenge and really needed a challenge. Cheryl was a manager of dentists, but then thought they were all high on laughing gas. Murray, who Sunny mentioned earlier on, was a volcanologist. So hopefully we'll be catching up with Murray as well. And also, Hannah ran social enterprises in Guatemala. Grace and Liv were stay-at-home mums. And as stay-at-home mums, they obviously wanted to do something a little bit different. Alexa was in customer relations, no real career path to follow. So real different backgrounds.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're all here learning computer coding.
That's it.
It's
and
amazing.
It sort of proves, so our last application process had 1,500 applications.
Wow.
We've only got 24 places at a time, but those applications are from all walks of life, like 50-50 gender split, age range of 18 to 60, demographics match in Birmingham, which is highly diverse anyway, and the reason for that is, like, we just don't have bias in that application process. So it proves that, you know, people are interested, people know their jobs are disappearing and know tech is the future, but there aren't any routes for them. Nobody wants to go and do a computer science degree at university, you know, halfway through a career.
So true.
And you know, so what we're doing is that lifelong learning, 16 weeks, and we get you from absolute scratch all the way through to a job and productive in that job for absolutely free. So it's just open to everyone.
Amazing.
All it requires is like motivation, and you know, we want to help nice people, so people are nice and motivated, and luckily that's all types of people, you know. Then we help them on their way.
I think it's just fantastic. It's soon, I think, going to be Dr. Chris Me at OBE, I guarantee it. Thanks for having us here, Chris. Really do appreciate it. What's the website, by the way, if people want further details?
It's schoolofcode.com.
Very simple, schoolofcode.com. And a little bit later on in the show, we're going to be meeting with some of the students that we've just mentioned and talked about as well. Right, let's head into Janet Jackson.
West Midlands.
And a very good afternoon. It's Sunny and Shay on BBCWM 95.6. As soon as we come on air, it's so funny. We're based at School of Code today. Everyone kind of goes silent, don't they? They like lower their volumes as they're talking.
Well, everyone on this side, you can see us.
On the
other
side,
on the right side, no, because they're in the middle of their coding.
Yeah, they don't
I think
actually
they don't really care about what's happening in the real world.
That is true. Today, Sunny and I, as we've mentioned, we are at the School of Code based inside Custard Factory in Digbeth. And we really wanted to come out here today because what's great about School of Code is they're essentially teaching and getting people to become computer programmers and then head on into amazing careers in technology. It's completely free. and people from all different backgrounds, walks of life have the opportunity for 16 weeks to basically learn how to code.
Yeah.
Which I think is so huge, because I've always thought if you want to be a coder, you've got to go to university.
Get a degree and all of that kind of stuff.
Like a PhD.
It's a whole different language. JavaScript.
Exactly. I know, it means nothing to me. It really does. But it's so important to learn about these things for everyone. And we're joined now. We have Mel, who is a student here. She's one of the bootcampers. They're known as bootcampers. I love that. Mel, who used to work in fast food. We're also joined by Liv, who was, before she came here, a stay-at-home mum. And we have Sam, who was an NHS healthcare assistant.
Now, before we ask you any other questions about coding, I want to know that, because we didn't get the memo, do you all have to look so stylish to work into this building? Because you all look so fashionable. It's like you just come out of Instagram.
Sorry? A little bit.
You have to blend in.
With the Digbeth scene,
Wow.
See, someone should have told us, Adam, next time, man. We're going to look as trendy as our
I know,
guests,
man. I just feel like I'm wearing
they
a red
so
jumper,
cool.
and honestly, we haven't rocked up very well. So, Mel, when did you decide that you wanted to do coding? How did it all come about for you?
Literally since I was at school, I've always wanted to code, but I never had a very good experience with school and college, learning to code the conventional way. So when I found this, it was like the perfect opportunity for me.
And then when you did find this and you came in, was it quite easy to adapt to this kind of learning? Because me and you are the same. I didn't like school. I didn't like anyone telling me to sit down, be quiet, put a tie on. It's just like, go away, man. This is how I want to be. And also my dyslexia didn't help. So when you came into this environment, was it easy for you to adapt, or did it take you a bit of time to adjust?
I actually found it quite easy to adapt to this, because it's like really fast-paced and I can keep up.
Oh, good.
Which I actually quite like, because like I think with school it was really slow-paced and it was like you're doing this one thing for a long period of time. And it's
I really got to rush
I
out.
can't be bothered anymore.
Would you like to see something like this taught in schools then?
Absolutely.
Do you think that this is the kind of thing that is transferable to, students?
Yeah,
in school?
definitely.
And what are the plans for you? How long into your boot camp are you? How many weeks in?
So we're on the 8th week now.
Okay, halfway.
Halfway through, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of doing project at the moment, our first big project at the moment, which is like insanely like massive, and it's so much different to what we've been doing so far, isn't it?
And what is it that what did you come with? What skills did you come with? And how far have you got with your skills in 8 weeks?
Came with like very, very basic knowledge, because I did an IT course at college.
Oh, good.
And I did
Okay.
coding, computing at school, which was like really basic. So I had like very little knowledge, and in 8 weeks I've already learned more than I did in 2 years at college.
Amazing.
Wow.
So what are the plans? What job would you like to do? Are you already thinking about things, thinking this is where I want to get into?
Don't have a completely 100% solid idea yet, but
Okay.
I'm definitely leaning more towards sort of front-end dev.
Nice, fantastic. What does that mean?
Dev?
That's like
You know
jargon
what
to
front-end
me.
dev is?
What
Go on,
is front-end dev?
Tell us what that is, Sam.
Making things look good, making it feel good. It's all about how the user interacts with like your application.
So when I open up something like eBay, all those lovely graphics and these little pop-ups and everything, that is the front end.
Exactly.
All right, and what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
So where would I like to go with it, do you think? For me, I really like making things work. So it's that functionality. So maybe a little bit more behind the scenes, talk about eBay, making sure that all the products are sort of updated, making that everything is where it needs to go. So that's like the back end.
Yeah. And you used to work at the NHS.
I did, yeah.
And when you left the NHS, was this something in your mind, or did this come to you because how did you even think about coding as a career change for yourself after someone who's been a carer or like in that industry? Because working in the NHS is a certain kind of mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like it's quite a change, isn't it? It's quite a left turn.
Yeah.
But for me, it's working as a healthcare assistant every day. It was amazing, and I love being helpful. That's why I was there. And I just feel like that the help that I can give to the world with tech, like the impact, it will be so much greater than just that sort of the effort that you put into the healthcare assistant side of things. So like I'd really like to look towards companies that are doing good in the world. So maybe like medical tech or something like that.
I love that. And finally, we're also joined by Liv. Now, Liv, you were a stay-at-home mum.
Yeah, that's right.
When did you decide that actually it was time to get out there and learn a new skill? And of all of the things, computer coding, like where did that all come about for you?
I'd been thinking for a little while that it was time for me to go back to work. I'd done a little bit of work while I've got 2 children, while they've been growing up. But to be honest, it wasn't worthwhile. The childcare costs were too high. So it made more sense for me to stay at home. I think that's quite common for a lot of mums. But I'd been researching tech as an option because I think it offers really good prospects, and it's also one of the more flexible careers looking forward, so that it can potentially fit in around my lifestyle. So I might be able to work from home sometimes.
Nice,
I might still be able to do the school run, that sort of thing. And also it's exciting and challenging, so that appeals.
And the kids will have nothing on you
Exactly.
when they start that venture into the social media.
You'll be on top of it.
Like, Mark, I can hide that from. No, you can't.
No,
I know all the tricks. All the tricks.
And with that, just finally, what role would you like to do? Have you already thought about where you'd like to go into things?
I came into this thinking I might like the design side of things, so like UX design, but I have actually really enjoyed the coding side as well, so I'm not ruling out being a developer.
Fantastic. Well, Liv, Sam and Mel, we wish you the best of luck, guys. A pleasure having a chat with you.
Thank you, guys.
You so much. We're going to continue hearing from some more inspirational boot campers like Mel, Liv and Sam in the next half an hour. Right now, though, let's get traffic and travel with Jarina. I do love that song. That is Nick Kershaw and The Riddle on BBCWM. A very good afternoon. It's Sunny and Shay. Yet again, it's happened. Every time we come on air, the students here at the School of Code are so lovely. They go quiet. Shall we just say hello to everyone?
Yeah, I think we should.
Chris, can we get everyone to say hello?
Hello.
3, 2, 1, hi!
Yeah, they definitely started. There are people
we
here.
are in a room full of students, but they're so studious that as soon as we come on air, they're so lovely. They just all go quiet. So today, if you just tuned in, we're out at the studio, we're at the School of Code, based inside the Custard Factory. And for those of you that are tuning in, if you've missed out, this is a fantastic school, and it's a little bit different because it's giving opportunities to people from any background, any age, any class. It does not matter. You don't have to rock up having A-levels or a BA in computer science. What they're trying to do here is to get people to become computer programmers and then go on to amazing careers in technology.
Now, if you are someone of my age thinking coding's surpassed me, you don't understand.
When
When we had our
VIC
VIC-20s and a Commodore 64s, we were coding. Because to start those games, we had to write LOAD, and then we had to put speech commas, and press play on the cassette so that it would download the game, right, with all that weird noise. So we have done coding when we were in our past, but the coding is like a language that you have to learn. That's what it is.
I agree with that.
And that's all you have to do, just learn the basics like Latin, and then everything else will fall into place.
Latin
would be Java at this point, I think.
JavaScript maybe.
Yeah,
now, we're joined by 3 more boot campers. That's what they're known as rather than students. They're boot campers here at School of Code. And we have with us Cheryl, who used to work in, she was actually a manager of dentists, but she thought that they were all high on laughing gas. Nice to meet you, Cheryl.
Nice to meet you too.
We're also joined by Teo, who is a family social worker, but has been unemployed. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to
Thanks for coming down to have a chat with us. And also, we're joined by Murray, who was a volcanologist. Now, that is interesting job title. Let's go with you first, Murray. Why did you decide to make the switch from volcanoes to coding?
It's a good question, right? So I worked at the University of Birmingham for quite a few years, sort of 7 or 8 years working in research. But academia is a difficult sort of sector to work in because you always have 0-hour contracts and you're always on time limited. So typically I'd be on a 1-year rolling contract.
Right.
And so while the job was really good fun, it becomes quite unsustainable as you get a bit older in years, right? It can be difficult to keep going.
Yeah.
So I personally really enjoyed the tech side of my job when I was working on volcanoes and doing research, and it made perfect sense to try and break into tech. But I found that to be pretty hard, and that's why I'm here.
Oh, wow.
And when you came to this, I guess, and saw this opportunity, was it easy for you to get into it, or were you a bit apprehensive that thinking, I'll give it a week and it might not work for me? You know what I mean? There's a lot of skills to learn after everything that you have been doing, academia, learning and everything.
Sure. Well, when I first turned up, I'd not really done anything like this.
Right.
So this is all based around sort of web design and really like up-to-the-minute tech. So it's not building sort of your granddad's website, which was just one page. This is more stuff like Facebook and Twitter or things that are interactive. the cool sort of websites, that kind of stuff. Personally, I'd never done anything like that. So there was a lot of new skills to learn, and it's been difficult. It's been tricky, but so far it's really good.
And just finally, what job would you like to get into once you complete the course? Because you're halfway through now, so you must, I would have thought by now, have some indication of where you'd like to go.
Yeah, I think I want to be a full-stack developer, which
what
means...
does that mean?
Crazy terminology,
yeah.
right? So it means both something called the front end, which is just the stuff that you can see on the website, but also the server side, which can be the very techie stuff, which lives up in the cloud at sort of Google or something like that.
Okay.
Both sides.
Well, best of luck to you, Murray.
Thank you.
Great having a chat with you. Cheryl, you agreed. You said working with dentists was almost like they were high on laughing gas. So is that why you decided to leave?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The dentists on laughing gas were super amazing.
Yes.
My team was super amazing, but it was very, very corporate-y environment, and I just did not want to be that person that everybody hated, aka the managers.
Right.
And
so
then
you used to be a manager.
So when you came here, there must have been a plan in your head. I mean, when you told your family, like, listen, this is a brilliant job. I tell people what to do, but I'm actually going to give this up to go and write. Go and just look at a screen with a whole lot of numbers and letters that don't make any sense to anyone.
Yeah.
So how did they take it?
Oh, my mum was super scared.
Okay.
She said, why are you leaving this opportunity where you can get amazing promotions and stuff and you can go higher? Why are you leaving it for not working for 4 months and then going into an unknown where you have never gone to a completely different city, because I'm from London.
Okay.
So that was a big shocker for them.
Right.
But I'm here now, and I go visit them on the weekend, so they're fine.
They're all right, yeah. As long as they get to see you,
they're fine
okay.
now.
And what did you enjoy about coming here? Was it straight away you're like, oh, I'm so glad it got you comfortable, or did it take a bit of time to adjust?
Oh, it took a bit of time.
Right.
Moving was not an issue because I was coming to see my fiance up here anyway.
Anyway, okay, cool.
But coming here at the boot camp, I came in thinking I'm an amazing learner. I'll get it 1 week going down. 7 weeks, I was absolutely in pain, saying I would not be able to get it.
Wow.
Yeah, this week has been a learning curve for me.
Yeah.
I've been working with amazing people on my team, so that's good.
So with that in mind, are you feeling confident for the future? Are you going to stick with this path of coding?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
I'm loving it, loving every moment of it. So
And
I don't plan to give it up.
Okay, so with that in mind then, what kind of role would you like to do once you complete the full course? Because as you say, halfway through, so you've got another 2 months. Do you know where you want to go?
Yes. So I was thinking of going into UX and UI, which
what on earth does that mean? Like
all these new phrases.
All these job titles I'm hearing today, I have no idea.
Gone of the day,
at
this
all.
building just said, I'm going to work in the warehouse and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be, I'm going to do the experimentation when it comes down to improving our custard. I understand all that ingredients, but these new words and new.
So UX and U what? Sorry.
UX and UI. UX is user experience, and UI is user integration. That's what it is. Thank you, Teo. I get confused with the terminology myself still.
Yeah.
So UX would be putting together a website, say, for instance, like Facebook.
Right.
What do users want? What do users like? So you'll get a whole template that would match the users. UI would be, where do the buttons go? Where will it be good enough for the user to see it?
Oh,
so all that's what I want to work with.
I love that. Well, best of luck to you and well done for taking that leap, both of you, Murray and also Cheryl. But we're also joined now by Teo. Now, you used to be a family social worker. So where did coding come into your life?
Yeah, I mean, it had been in my life since I was a kid. Both my parents are programmers.
Wow.
As I was growing up, and when I had a computer when I was 8 years old, most of my friends, like parents, didn't even have a computer.
Okay.
So I've always felt really comfortable on them. But no, before starting the bootcamp, I didn't know how to write a single line of code. I'd never done it before.
So was it more a case that you wanted to follow in the footsteps of your parents?
Well, not exactly. Like, I had it there as an interest. Like, my dad even opened one of the first programming schools in the UK back in the 70s.
Wow.
Which is quite a cool parallel between that and what's happening here now, like, for me, on a personal level, for sure. But no, like there is a big difference between being comfortable on computers and being able to write code. Like those are basically two completely different skills, although one definitely helps with the other.
Yes. And then now that you're doing this, I mean, how has to be conversing? Do you converse with your mum and dad about coding and what you're learning here at the moment?
My mum's been out of the game for quite a while, and she's actually really jealous that I'm here. she retrained as a teacher when she was 50, so she's been doing that for like 5 or 6 years now, and really struggling, and she's seeing me having a really good time here. So she's like, why didn't I just try and get myself on a coding boot camp?
Do you think she's going to rock up in the next squad and be like, I'm signing up for this?
She's tempted, I think. She is tempted.
I hope she does.
But like the sadder side of it is that like I used to be a social worker and I wasn't a social worker for very long. And the reason why I started in that profession is because I thought, well, you have to spend 40 hours of your week at least doing something. You might as well make that thing worthwhile.
Yes.
But unfortunately, as a social worker, I definitely didn't feel in the current environment like my job facilitated me to helping people.
Yeah.
And yeah, interestingly, like with my mum as well, she feels the same with teaching, like really struggles to do a worthwhile role. So yeah.
And with that in mind then, halfway through the boot camp, have you decided what role you would like to do? Because a big part of School of Code, for anyone listening or tuning in, School of Code isn't just about giving you the skills. What I think is great is it then helps you to find employment. So you're not just left out in the big bad, wide world. Yeah. So have you thought about what you want to do?
Yeah, well, Chris is amazing with that. Like, we have so many inspiring startups coming in every week and telling us about the cool stuff that they're doing. Often there is a social good involved with why they've been set up in the first place.
Right.
Like, I think on the first week we had a company come in, a travel company that specializes in travel for people with disabilities.
Okay.
And they talked to us about how much the tech had facilitated them being able to do that for people, which is great. Like,
amazing.
You felt like they wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise.
Absolutely. So what kind of role are you going to do? Going to be UXing or UIing or anything in between?
Kind of like Murray, like I'm interested in everything. So,
okay.
So I'd like to have a little bit of everything in my role so that I don't get bored.
Yes.
But yeah, the important thing for me is the ethos of the company I work for and that they're doing a good thing.
Well, listen, Teo, Cheryl and Murray, pleasure meeting you guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
So inspirational, and best of luck as well for the future. We'll continue having a chat with more boot campers, find out a little bit more as well about work here at the Custard Factory in Digbeth, straight after Blondie and Sunday Girl. And a very good afternoon. It's Sunny and Shay on BBC WM 95.6. I'm going to share this, not because I'm trying to sound big-headed, but because for once in my life, I actually feel really undereducated. I have a BA, I have a master's degree, which I'm very proud of. And, something my mum and my dad worked really hard for me to do, and for my brother as well, who is a doctor. But I tell you what, being in a room full of computer coders, I feel so inadequate today. It is unbelievable. Sunny, I was just bragging about having 2 degrees, but this is nothing compared to what these guys are doing, right?
No, that's right. And also, when you look at coding, what is the basics of it?
That's the thing, you see, because with coding and computer coding, there's a lot to discuss and talk about. We're at the School of Code, based inside the Custard Factory in Digbeth, and we're joined now by 2 individuals who I think will be able to help answer
that question.
Because I think that's the biggest thing I'm always confused about, and I really don't understand. So we have Ben Lee, who is a School of Code graduate, and you loved the place so much you came back and decided to be a teacher, didn't you?
Yeah, couldn't leave the place.
Oh, bless you.
Nice.
And we're also joined by Maureen. Now, Maureen, you are also a graduate, but what is fantastic about yourself as well is you work at the Dev Society, but you were hired once you'd completed the course, and you were 8 months pregnant at that time, weren't you?
Yes, I was. So I completed the course
Bring it close, Mike. There we go.
So I completed the course while I was pregnant, and I went for an interview. I think I was 8 months pregnant when I went for an interview. Just went along for practice, but managed to get myself a role.
That is huge. So we'll come back to Ben and find out about the teaching side. But for you, why did you decide in the middle of your pregnancy that you would take on the mammoth task of learning how to code, something you'd never done before? I really admire that. I think that is fantastic.
It was actually before
you got pregnant?
I got pregnant.
Okay.
So then I just continued with it. I had a passion for code, so I wanted to complete the course. and I thought I would be taking a break in between, but I went back to work when my daughter was 2.5 months old.
Wow.
Mainly down to the company that I'm working for. Is such an amazing company that's flexible and very supportive. So it's been a challenge, but it's been made much more easier because of the company that I'm working for.
So when you look at the lifestyle and how the company and coding works, do you think there's a different way of looking at work now? Because of the support you're getting is because you're getting your work done, but then you can still have that flexibility to have a quality of life, which my parents didn't have, quite frankly. They were like physically at a place in a building and they had to do that. But for you, like yourself, you're a coder, and it gave you that flexibility to actually say, you know, I can be at home with my kid and I can come and do my job.
Exactly. Definitely the reason I decided to make a move from teaching, leave teaching and go into code was that reason, because I wanted the flexibility before I started a family. And I'm currently working from home, which is lovely because I just get to spend time with my daughter, doing video calls, doing project meetings. Understandable. There's other members of staff as well that have their children with them sometimes during the call, which is really nice. So I think definitely the Dev Society is has made that change possible, and have shown how you can have both. So I'm surrounded by people who are so understanding that we all have families, we all have life outside of work. So it's been amazing to have that change, whereas with teaching it just would not have been possible at all.
I guess of course you need to
And
dedicate your time.
teachers.
Exactly. You need to dedicate time to your students and talking about that. And congratulations, Marine. I think it is genuinely inspirational what you've done. It's not easy to be pregnant and learning a whole new skill.
I agree.
And then to get a job and get straight into it. So well done, Marine. Talking about teachers, we're joined by Ben. Now, Ben, you graduated from School of Code. What made you then decide that you just wanted to come back here?
Well, I had such a great time on the course, and I was on the course at the same time as Marine. And and I can tell you, we had a fantastic 16 weeks. It was like, 24 people from completely different backgrounds. I'd never been in that environment before, where you just got so many different kinds of people, and then you're bonded by this journey of learning to do this new thing, and you all get it together. It's and then at the end, I was just that was one of the best 16 weeks ever.
Wow.
It was properly
life-changing.
Properly life-changing.
I can tell
honestly.
you're smiling away. It obviously changed your life.
And you wanted to replicate it again and again. So how do you do that? Become a teacher.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, there was a role going. Chris wants to expand the School of Code and help more people. And I was that's something I want to be a part of.
So when you look at coding, for anyone who's trying to get their head around, as soon as they heard the word coding, not for me. I'm switching off now. If you're going to bake a cake, you need flour, right? So what's the flour in coding, right? So you know at what cake?
That.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're going to
What's
make
the
flour in coding? What's the basics that someone at home can understand and say, dude, this is it, and we're just going to build on that, and we're going to put all the peanuts in there, we're going to put the raisins in there, we're going to make it different, and you're going to make it yours.
You usually don't put peanuts in a cake, but you talk about walnuts.
Yes, you do.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So if you want to bake a cake, you've got flour, but it's flour doesn't just bake itself. It's all you need to know is what do I do with this flour? What processes do I make that flour into the cake? Coding. I guess the flour would be text, because you're writing computer instructions. But it's you can write.
Understand that.
You can write any old text, but it might not mean anything. All you need to do is learn how to use that text with the right syntax, and then it can do things.
So syntax would be maybe the butter. When you're mixing the butter with the flour, right?
Yeah, syntax would be the recipe.
Okay.
And it's the recipe is it allows you, if you mix this with this, whisk it, you get meringues.
And then what would be the sugar in this? What would be the sweetening deal?
The sugar, the sugar, you get to, instead of writing text in a plain old word processor, you get a lovely text editor, an IDE, an integrated development environment. And one of the best things about that is it makes all the text different colors.
Okay.
The meaning behind that text and that text
is
very
different.
It's different, and
they're doing different things.
Doing different things.
So let me ask you this: is there one coding language that is universal that most coders would know about and you should know? Someone might be thinking, let me just try it myself at home.
So here we teach JavaScript. JavaScript is like one of the biggest languages because it's the language of the web.
So that's the English language of the internet.
For the world.
For the world. Yeah.
Sonny's that guy. Any country he goes to, he expects everyone to speak English.
Yeah. That's the basics. You start from there.
And he's like, right, I'm speaking English. I wanted to, with JavaScript, is that something that no matter what age you can pick up on, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it starts simple. And like, I've got a great book. I mean, I've been teaching my girlfriend to code.
Okay.
But there's this great book which is just like designed for kids, but you can get coding, like simple stuff, quickly and get it together.
I'm going to get that book off you for my kids.
And thank you so much for explaining that, Ben, because we really wanted to break it down into basic layman terms. One, for Sunny and I, but also for our listeners, because it can, when you hear the word coding, it can sound like something that is so alien. And the truth of the matter is, in this decade, more and more people are unfortunately going to lose lifelong careers, and they're looking to start new careers. And maybe this could be for them. Would you recommend anyone to kind of just get in touch?
Yeah, 100%. You know, look up the School of Code online. We've got a website, and really did change my life. I did a degree in jazz guitar.
Wow. Yeah.
So not very useful. I mean, not going to lie, I had a great time.
Yes.
But then I just like descended into like a lack of opportunity.
Oh, bless you.
Like, this changed my life.
This changed your life. Schoolofcode.com if you'd like further details. Maureen, Ben, thank you for joining us, guys. Let's get traffic and travel now with Jarina.
Sunny and Shay
on BBCWM 95.6.
Radio for the West Midlands.
Welcome back. It is Sunny and Shay here for the afternoon. We're not in our studio. We're based in Digbeth at the Custard Factory because we're at school coding.
We are pretty much trying to learn how to code today. We've been so inspired by the fantastic students, or bootcampers as they're known, that we've met with in the last hour. In this hour, we'll be hearing from some more fantastic success stories, but also, because we're based at the Custard Factory, we wanted to find out from some of the other businesses, artists as well, that are based here, about the fantastic projects that they do. So all of that to come. In fact, straight after the Cardigans, we'll be joined by Mr. A. Singh. That is the Cardigans and my favourite game on BBC Radio WM. Welcome along to the show. It's Sunny and Shay, and we are learning so much today, like genuinely. I'm not trying to say that as a pun or anything, because we're based at the School of Code, but we've had so much fun here today. We're based inside the Custard Factory in Digbeth, and if you've just tuned in, School of Code, we've been meeting with some fantastic computer programmers from different walks of life and finding out about how they've come on this free course.
Yes.
And now they've ended up completely changing their lives, getting new jobs and new careers. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we've heard from so many various sort of like set of skills. So it doesn't. You don't have to have a degree. You don't have to have anything. You have no experience. Come in here, just start from the basics and give yourself that chance. But here's the thing. Even if you apply, you might not get in.
I mean, it's
free
really
and there's a limited amount of space as it is. But I'm sure they will help you trying to get in somewhere else if you're really passionate.
So the website for that, by the way, is schoolofcode.com. And we're going to meet with some more graduates a little bit later on. But one thing we wanted to do today was also meet with fantastic businesses, artists that are based here at the Custard Factory, because it's a real community, I feel like. Whenever I come here, even just to go out for drinks or whatever, it's always buzzing. There's a real buzz in Digbeth and Custard Factory. And we're joined now by award-winning creative director, artist and mentor. His name is Amrit, but for a lot of his fans, he's known as Mr. A. Singh, and he's very much a proud Brummie. Had to drop that in there. Amrit, pleasure to have you on the show. There is so much to talk to you about. For anyone who isn't too aware of your artwork, you very much deal with intricate ink art, and it's inspired by nature and inspired by culture. But alongside that, there is a lot more that you do. Now, we're going to talk about the Create Central Board in a minute, but seeing as how we're here at School of Code, you do a lot. What are your thoughts of digital skills as an artist? Is that something you're interested with or not?
Definitely interesting. I mean, it's kind of interesting with the School of Code as well, because I was very much into coding as well when I studied graphic design.
Right.
But I had to teach myself, and there was nothing like this around. And I was learning HTML, CSS, and PHP and all that kind of stuff, but it was difficult. So to have this on your doorstep is brilliant. So, but now I'm a huge advocate for arts and digital skilling and upskilling as well. I run a few digital boot camps in Manchester called Diva Hack. back. It's all about creating confidence in 16 to 18-year-olds in front of the camera. So learning pitching, green screening, video editing, mics, audios, and also editing on your phone. One of the biggest issues that we had is parents were complaining that their children had £1,000 phone, but they were just using it for selfies, right? So we were like, why don't we create a boot camp where we teach them how to film on their phone and edit videos on their phone and upload it, so they start their video portfolio from a young age. Right. Whereas because a lot of jobs are asking for video CV and video personal statement
within the creative industry.
No, in the general industry.
Okay.
So imagine if there's a dream job, but they're asking for a 30-second video CV of you introducing yourself, but you're scared of being on camera and you turn down a dream job. That's what's happening a lot at the moment with a lot of young people. So we're kind of creating confidence in them, pitching, presenting, and also editing on their phone so they can apply for these jobs.
Now, you yourself, as I mentioned earlier on, you're a proud Brummie, and we have to talk about this because you were asked to join the very exclusive Create Central board. There's only 25 members, including Peaky Blinders main man, Steve Knight, which is amazing. Adil Ray is on there as well, as are you. What is Create Central all about?
So Create Central is a board which was set up last year. Andy Street is kind of running it, and it's been chaired by Ed Shed, the Deloitte top man, and it's all about helping amplify the West Midlands. We've got Birmingham, we've got Coventry, Warwickshire, so the entire West Midlands, and really amplifying the brand, the indies, the film sector, the digital sector, the creative sector, helping small businesses to the next level, really. And I'm kind of representing the creative, digital, and also the artistic sector as well. I'm a massive, as I said before, a huge advocate for the digital and arts as well. So I think being on this board is a huge help because you're surrounded by some amazing people. So not only am I inspired, but I get to be part of projects where they get to inspire other people as well.
I wanted to talk to you as well about the fact that, South Asians usually are known for coding, or accounting, or being GPs or doctors, and they're all amazing roles. But one thing we're never really celebrated or known for, actually, is being artists.
That's right,
and that's something that you are first and foremost as an artist. In and amongst this amazing work, it is about your artwork, isn't it? How important is it for you to kind of amplify that and to show, look, I as a turban wearing Sikh, a proud Brummie, I'm also creative and I'm an artist.
I think it's extremely important. What's kind of sad is as Asians, as Indians, art has been a huge part of our culture for a long time, and it was from day one. And for some reason, throughout the modern world, coding and being a lawyer and business connected to money became the number one and most important thing. Whereas if you think about it, arts, poetry, music, traditional art was what created our culture, and many cultures around the world, whether it's Aborigines or pagans or Celtic or wherever you are, Samoans, art was the number one thing. So for me to express myself in an artistic way has always been really important. I started off as a hardcore introvert as a young person, and art was a way of expressing myself. It's talking without talking. I say, showing what I'm thinking without actually talking to people, right? And now, obviously, I call myself an ambivert, so I've learned extrovert skills, and I get to show this artistic style to the world via live streaming. I think the last time we spoke on your show was a few years ago.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was when I was doing live streaming. I showed you my colouring book, which was sold out now. And things have changed so much since then because my art has grown on a different, international scale. But now I get to expand my artwork on sculptures, which are dotted around the UK, and it was recently featured in a BBC interview, which did very, very well last week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And this is a great space, the Custard Factory, because not only am I working on this content creation and training stuff, but I'm also working on some big sculptures in the Custard Factory, and you actually saw me as well later on.
I want to see some of those. Would you be up for us actually taking some photos of your amazing sculptures? I mean, some of them as tall and high as we are.
That's right.
Listen, Umra, it's such a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, Amri.
And love the fact that you're flying the flag for Birmingham, for sure.
Of course.
If you'd like to follow Umra, go to his social media, Mr. A. Singh, SINGH.
Sunny and Shay
on
So Becky, hopefully we'll be catching up with us tomorrow. Everything going well. So we'll try to catch up with the latest from Becky tomorrow on our show.
Now, it's Sunny and Shay. We're here with you until 4 o'clock this afternoon. The show is whizzing by. I mean, it does anyway, right, when we're in the studio.
I know.
But as soon as we come out of the studio, it gets faster and faster. We've met some amazing people today at School of Code.
Yes.
We're based at the Custard Factory here in Digbeth. But something we thought was really important as well was to meet with other fantastic businesses, companies, individuals who are based here at the Custard Factory, just to find out what they do.
This whole area is about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about robots in a minute. I know you're excited about that.
These are robots that do what I would love to do some point.
Okay, well, we'll find out what that is. Climb up walls, I love that.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that in a moment.
Robots.
But first, we're joined by Joe Salmon, who is head of estates here at Digbeth, and also Rachel Jeremita, who is a business owner and also works a lot extensively with social media. Joe, Rachel, lovely to meet you both. So firstly, Joe, how important is it to be kind of based here at Custard Factory? What do you like about this particular area? I said earlier on, it's so buzzing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I work for the guys that own the estate.
Right.
So obviously I have to be here.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at. Very exciting place to be, a very exciting place to work. Great community, the tenants are fab. And it's always a fun day when you come to work. It's not like going to the big glass boxes elsewhere we could talk about. So yeah, it's great fun. Great place to be, really young and dynamic vibe here.
And what do you do with your company? What's the outline?
Well, we own about 17 acres in Digbeth, which was purchased about 2.5 years ago. And we've been investing in the stock, improving the offer for our tenants and trying to entice exciting businesses like School of Code to come and base themselves in Digbeth.
And how hard is it to attract people to Birmingham as well? I mean, with all these changes where, the government is carrying on with the HDO, that's going to happen. And this, Birmingham has always been the centre of the, whole of the United Kingdom. It's 2 hours from anywhere. That's what everyone says. How are you attracting people here to this part of the world?
I mean, Birmingham, I think it's having a real renaissance at the moment. It's the place to be. It's where every investor is looking to have stock on their portfolio. HS2 has obviously helped that. But aside from that, there's a lot of people in Birmingham to serve. And there's as you say, it's the centre of the country. It's the middle of everything that's happening. That's all going to get closer. So actually, and with the investment in the stock and improving the environment down here, it's a lot easier to get people down here than it was 2.5 years ago.
Wow. And with that in mind, Rachel, you yourself are a business owner, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
And what is it that your business does?
So we are a digital communications agency, so we work with businesses to develop online strategies to help reach a further audience and across events, and it's kind of like a mix of online, traditional promotions that we do.
So you might need some of these coders in the future to help you with that
absolutely.
side. Yes, so in the right place to get talent.
Yeah, I'll be giving out some business cards.
Oh, absolutely. At the end of the interview, do. But what is it that you love about this particular area? Because you're also helping and assisting with social media for, the estate side of thing that Rachel was talking about. But what is it you like about this location?
I think Digbeth is a really vibrant space. I think it's kind of, there's no other place like it in this city, in the UK really. I think it's quite eclectic in the mix of businesses that are here. The atmosphere that's here when you go out from day to night, you can kind of work here, you can play here. It's kind of got a really good offering. It's really good for businesses. I myself launched my business here, and without the incubation space of the Custard Factory, that would have been something that I wouldn't have been able to do.
Wow. I love that. Well, Rachel and Joe, thank you for having a chat with us, ladies. It's great
but quickly,
to see.
Rachel, if anybody else is interested in, using these spaces, how do they get in touch with you and thinking that, I would like that opportunity, and if it's reasonable for me to start up in a place like this and then expand, how can they do that?
Well, come down to the Custard Factory in Digbeth or have a look for us online.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. We're joined now by Harry Smith from HouseSpots. Harry, you are the founder and design engineer of, and I love this, developing a wall painting robot. How did this all come about?
So I was asked to paint my parents' living room at home, and I was just stone dead bored. I thought there's got to be a better way. It's the ideal use case for a robot. It's boring. It can be quite dangerous working at height.
Yeah.
And the techniques needed are able to be mechanised. So I went out to their garage and I started building. And 4 years later, we've finally got something that we're able to take out onto building sites. and climb up to a height of 12 meters and paint things with.
And your parents waited 4 years while, saying,
for the living room.
When is he going to get started with this painting? You're like, give me a second, Mum and Dad.
I did finish the living room
first.
You
did? Okay, fair enough. I was going to say, that's really patient parents. So when you're developing this, how much of a team and, patents and all of that legal side of it as well? Because there must be some of this technology already out there.
Yeah.
And then, finding, not only are you an inventor, but you have to look at the other side of it as well, don't you? Where you're protecting your brain and your product.
Absolutely, and we've found a really good law firm in Birmingham who've actually helped us to protect all of our IP side and enable us to secure that, and also check that we're not treading on anyone else's toes with patents as well. We might think what we've invented is unique, but we needed to confirm that we're not kind of stealing anyone else's ideas here. But no, that's
and so
when
when do you think that someone like ourselves, is it going to be scaled down to use it in the house like you wanted?
So
at some point.
To be honest, the idea has transitioned from being able to paint living rooms to where it actually makes most sense, which is at height. Any job that you would need to put scaffolding in place for is where we make sense. So scaffolding, really expensive, really dangerous to be on, causes a lot of issues, access-wise, it's ugly, takes a long time, whereas we can just send a robot up and paint the outside of a building or even the inside of a large building, and therefore be able to eliminate all of that cost and hassle and just do it with that instead.
How's the trailing been? I mean, how many walls have you painted here in the custard factory?
They've not let
many
us
yet.
loose, actually.
Not yet many yet. They haven't commissioned you yet.
Yeah, so it would be an honour to paint something at the custard factory.
And how old are you? Because that's important for our listeners to know. How old are you, Harry?
Yeah, there's a reason I'm being asked that question, because I look like I'm about 16, but I'm actually 21.
Good genes, man.
Yeah, obviously. Good genes.
Do you get ID'd everywhere you go?
I do. Even like buying scissors, I'll get ID'd.
And how do you feel having founded and, invented Housebots?
I feel, really quite chuffed with the whole thing. I mean, there's still a long way to go. We can't do everything in the world. We can't paint everything yet. There's a long old way before we're what I'd call a proper company.
Yeah.
But it's been a journey. It's been good fun, actually.
Good.
Well, listen, congratulations. I definitely think you're going to be one to watch. Housebots, I think you're going to be taking over. And I'll never have to worry about painting again, which I love the idea of. Pleasure having a chat with you, Harry.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you. Housebots is HAUSBOTS, by the way, if you'd like further details. Big thanks to Rachel, to Joe, and to Harry for having a chat with us. In the next half an hour of the show, we're also going to be having more of a chat with some of the former students at School of Code as well, as we've based ourselves here at the Custard Factory in Digbeth. We'll be hearing about some of the success stories, the inspirational stories, things that will hopefully get us thinking that, we need to be learning coding as well. And we'll be talking about Sunny's favourite subject, which is film. Right now, though, let's get an update on the roads, traffic and travel with Jarina. That is To Pow, Heart and Soul on BBC WM 95.6. Welcome along to the show. It's Sunny and Shay. And they've gone very, very quiet. I think it's that time of the day where all the students are maybe a little bit lagging. We're based at School of Code in the Custard Factory. But we have got Dr. Chris Meir, who is head man here at School of Code. We're going to ask him, Chris, do you mind just getting everyone to say hello? Hi guys! That'll wake
them up. Say hello to the radio.
To the radio. They're all saying hello.
Brilliant.
Absolutely amazing. No, we've had so much fun today. And if you've just tuned into the show, it's important for us to tell you exactly what School of Code does for anyone who isn't aware.
It gives a brilliant opportunity for anyone who, with any set of skills or backgrounds, to get a different take on a new future.
Well, you actually do get 4 weeks of a free course to become computer programmers. And the great thing is there's after that, you are placed in a new job. That's the whole point of this, is to get work as well. And we're joined by 2 alumni students, which is very cool. We have Olivia, who used to work in theatre and since graduating from School of Code has been hired at Santander as a UX designer. Olivia, great to have a chat with you today.
Hello, it's good to be here. Thank you.
And also we're joined by Jazz. Now, Jazz used to be a teaching assistant in a special needs school, and he was hired by The Economist as a DevSecOps engineer. Jazz, congratulations, and a pleasure to have a chat with you.
Thank you very much.
Now,
thanks for having me.
Before anything, did you know did you ever hear of the jobs that you did before you started this course? Start with yourself.
Yes, Olivia.
Well, design. So not UX design. So UX design is all about user experience. So, but it was through the course that I learned about it. I mean, I come from a theatre background, which I suppose you go, that has nothing to do with tech, although people do use tech in theatre, of course.
Yeah.
And then it was through the course and meeting some like really inspiring and brilliant lecturers that came along. That I learned that user experience and user-focused design was something that I could go into, and then this amazing opportunity at Santander presented itself, and 7 months later, I spent 7 months at Santander. So,
wow, congratulations.
Really
That's amazing. When you're doing this kind of job, what are the opportunities like? Are you always learning? Does it ever stop for yourself?
No, so always learning, and that is a great thing about somewhere like Santander. Like they're really into like development and growth, and they've been incredibly supportive. And because it's tech and it's constantly evolving, and I think with user experience, you're constantly looking at how can you improve that experience for your user. How can you make the design more intuitive and easier to use and easier to learn how to use. So it's constantly evolving, constantly updating. You constantly keep abreast with what's going on in tech. So
and I want to know, why did you decide to move from having done theatre into computer coding? Because they're very different worlds, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So I saw a tweet go by, like, being in an independent theatre company, looking to promote myself, always on Twitter and social media. Saw this tweet go by. In fact, it was a collaborator, Birmingham sound designer, had retweeted it, a guy called Ian Armstrong, who's brilliant. School of Code. And I was like, what? Free coding bootcamp?
Wow.
What is that? I'd heard that they were very expensive. I thought, well, I'm going to apply. And then went and applied, and the further I got through the process, the more I was like, oh my God, I would love to do this. I'd love to learn a new skill. Perhaps I could apply that to theatre in some way. I definitely want to meet a whole new group of people, expand my network, and essentially learn a new skill. And that's basically what happens, and I haven't looked back. It's been amazing.
The rest is history, as they say. Well, congratulations.
Thank
I think
you.
it's really, really huge. And Jazz, for yourself, you used to be a teaching assistant in a special needs school. At what point did you decide that you wanted a career change, or was code something you were always interested in?
Code was something I was interested in, and it was before I heard of the School of Code that I actually made the decision that I wanted to go into code. Part of the reason was because being a teaching assistant, the support's not great for you. There's lots of government cutbacks, and I just felt like it wasn't a sustainable career for me.
Right.
And I needed a change, and code was, as I said, something that was like super interesting, challenging, and I started to learn on my own, and I was just on my own in my bedroom, just like coding away, not really knowing what I was doing, just like mashing the keyboard. And then I saw the opportunity, and my eyes lit up. I grabbed it with both hands.
So what is your job title now, today?
It's a pretty
crazy one. I haven't heard of this one either. All these terminologies flying around.
Yeah. I think they just make it up when they
It's good, isn't it? I like you got you, right?
It's a DevSecOps engineer. So it's like DevOps is a cultural movement in programming to see the whole process of design, implementation, and monitoring of code, and then the sec bit is just like jammed in there to add in a bit of security as you're you're producing and developing your code. You also must think about security.
And with that, just finally, would you recommend, because just speaking to yourself, speaking to Olivia, everyone is so happy here, and clearly it's something they love. Would you recommend for anyone who's really frustrated, or maybe they're thinking that actually my industry is an industry that sadly is dying and you need to get with the times, and technology is a big part of that, would you recommend them to take up coding?
I can't really. I can't explain enough how much they should do it if that's what they're interested in. Like, it's changed my life.
Really?
immeasurably. I'm on so many different scales of happiness.
Yes.
I am so glad I did this course. It's really, truly, utterly changed my life.
And what would you say, Olivia, just finally?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to echo what Jazz has said, like totally changed my life completely. Like, it's a phenomenal thing, I think, that Chris and his team are doing. And the fact that it's free means that lots of different types of people have access to coding. That, you know, if you're spending 10 grand for a coding bootcamp, that's going to appeal to a certain person who's got 10 grand to spend. Like, this is free, so the barriers to entry are much lower, and you can see that in the room. It's like pretty much 50-50, men, women split, different backgrounds, different age groups. Like, that's brilliant, and that's what tech should reflect. It should reflect the whole of you know, the community and the society we live in. So,
when you look at the economy as we go forward, and you working in your environment, you work in the environment you work in, do you think that the UK, if we have schools like this that are giving everyone the tools and saying, look, here you go, you know, here's the basics, and now you can get yourself a job in this industry, could we be the next Silicon Valley? We could be the Silicon country.
Well, yeah, I hope so.
If we had that kind of support.
I think so, and I think it just seems like a really critical skill to learn. I mean, Chris mentioned it, I think, in one of the articles with the Financial Times about it being like, you know, it's a trade. Like, learning to code is a trade, and it shouldn't be this sort of abstract, scary thing. It should just be this thing that people, you know, have access to. Like, we've all got many, not all, I beg your pardon, many people have got mobile phone devices, and understanding like how that works and how you can create content for that is really empowering, I think. And yeah, I think so. I think absolutely what Chris is doing, you know, to make coding available to people, and if you can continue to scale that, then yeah, you can contact more people, reach more people. More people are influencing how tech is operating in this country, and yeah, you know, hopefully that will happen.
Silicon country, here we come.
Yeah.
Olivia and Jazz, a pleasure meeting
Thank
you.
Jazz.
Congratulations, guys. I think
Thank
it's
you,
fantastic.
Olivia.
Well
Thanks
done.
very
Thank you very much.
If you'd like further details of the great work that the School of Code does, the website is schoolofcode.com. We'll be back straight after Edwin Collins, A Girl Like You, on BBCWM 95.6. Welcome along to the show. Sunny and Shay. Show's flown by today, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, learning a lot of stuff and new terminologies, but it's not something that I thought I'll be out my depth. But I think the way they've explained it and what's going on with everyone's excitement and people from different backgrounds who didn't have anything to do with coding or this world are just saying, hey, it's like you're scared of riding the bike, but once you get your wheels and that first couple of strides, you'll never forget it.
Exactly, and it's so important whether you like it or not. Coding is imperative to our future.
Definitely.
Children are now taught it in schools as well, and so if you're a parent tuning into the show, then actually you will know that your children are actually dealing with this right now, grappling with it, and maybe taking it back to basics the way that School of Code helps enable individuals. And to tell us more about that, we are joined by James, who's come a bit full circle because he used to be a primary teacher, and now he himself is a student at School of Code. And we're also joined by Adam from DRPG. Now, they are an events and media company, but what they're doing is they work with many companies here at the Custard Factory, and really are hoping to help School of Code students to kind of develop and get into work as well. But let's go to you first, James. A former primary teacher.
Yes, indeed.
How does it feel now being a student?
It's a little different, to be honest. I'm so used to standing in front of people and giving them the information. It's a little bit unusual to be sitting here and learning so many new things, but it's a new challenge. I'm really enjoying it.
And then when you're at school, was that part of the teaching in school? Are kids learning this kind of basic coding at school at the moment?
They are learning coding. It's not quite exactly the same as this.
Right.
So we are obviously, as I'm sure other people have told you, we're learning text-based.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're learning JavaScript and we're learning HTML and CSS and stuff like that. Lots of the children at school would be learning what I would call block-based coding. So they'll be learning using things like Scratch and stuff like that, where they would drag in blocks.
Right.
So they'll be able to do it. But the premise is exactly the same. You're still building things, you're still actually making things move or having sprites move on a screen. So the idea is very much the same.
So it's nice
just
to get
more
the tools
pictorial.
in place.
And why did you do this? I think people will want to know. Why did you decide to go from being a primary teacher into being becoming a student?
There are lots of reasons. I've been teaching for quite a few years. I think I got to the point where I just felt I needed a bit of a new challenge. Teaching was brilliant. I enjoyed it, but I just felt that my computing lessons that I were doing they were the things I really look forward to every week. And I just thought, if I'm really enjoying teaching this, I'm probably going to enjoy actually going into that as a career instead. And it sort of came from there. And the more and more I looked into coding and the more I did it, I thought, this is something I actually want to do in my life. So decided to say go full circle and try it instead.
So is this the kind of students that you're going to be looking for in your business in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So the code that we're teaching people here is exactly what we're using in industry now.
Right.
Which means we can potentially pick people up off the boot camp and put them straight into jobs, straight onto projects, which is fantastic.
And what is some of the challenges you face, I guess, trying to recruit people from the United Kingdom? Is it the skill-based stuff, or is it just that there's not enough people having access to this kind of what's it called, teaching?
Yeah, there's a lot of jobs in tech at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of jobs for developers and for other roles in tech as well, and there's just not quite enough people to fill them, especially in the area as well around the Midlands. So anything that's kind of working towards bridging that gap is really important to us, really important to me, because we want to build the most fantastic teams that we can, not just for my company, but have those in the Midlands as well. Make sure that we're a hub for technology.
Yes.
When we look at gaming, which is a big coding juggernaut, right, and it's one of the biggest industries out there, am I right, and please correct me if I know, because you know more about this than I do, most of the coding happens in the United Kingdom and within the West Midlands, isn't it?
Yeah, there's lots of gaming companies.
Somewhere. Yeah.
So Codemasters is a Midlands company. They make lots of games. They're pretty well established. There's lots of other businesses, even in Birmingham, which are games companies. Lots of stuff going on in that industry. Yeah.
And just finally, from yourself, James, have you decided now, 8 weeks into the course, what job you want to do?
The honest answer is no. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I came into this course thinking, anything was optional. Do you know what? I've enjoyed everything that's happened so far, so I'm not 100% sure, but we've got another 8 weeks left, so I'll hopefully by which point in time I'll work out what I want to do. But
well, best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
And it's a pleasure having a chat with you as well, Adam. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, mate.
We'll be back straight after the choral. That is In the Morning on BBC WM 95.6. That's it from Sunny and I.
That's it, we're done. We are heading back to the mailbox, leaving the custard factory. I have to say, if we were located here regularly, I would like it.
Absolutely. I'd love to learn coding. We have to firstly say a big thank you to Dr. Chris Meir for having Sunny and I here at School of Code. This was all his idea whilst he was studying a PhD, and now he's helping people from all different walks of life get a qualification and, more importantly, get jobs in the world of computing technology, which is amazing.
And there's a lot more to tech and also coding, and you can get all that information online, but also if you get in touch with these guys, they will actually guide you in the right way, I'm sure, in some way, shape or form.
Absolutely.
Go to their website.
Yeah, schoolofcode.com. That's it from Sunny and I. Big thanks to Brett back in the studio, to producer Adam. And we have to say thanks to the guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Oh, they're amazing. We'll leave you with this. Hope you have a lovely rest of your afternoon. Francie on the way next. We will be back tomorrow from 2, back in the studio to do it all again. Have yourself a lovely rest of your Wednesday afternoon. The sun is shining. I'm happy.